the hang is so important. You know, we've learned that over the years. It's just like you could go out and do great shows, but sometimes you're just like, I can't be in a room with this guy anymore.
Right.
You
Sure.
know what I mean? And, you know, I'm sure, you know, they say that about me too, but it's just like the hang is such a big part of it. And the great thing is we have the luxury of time right now.
Hey, this is Rachel Bolan from Skid Row, and you are watching CMS TV.
It is Chris Akin Presents, and I, of course, am Chris Akin. And today on the show, we are talking to one of the greats of hard rock and heavy metal for the past, I don't even want to say how many years. It seems.
It's there, man.
I was going to say, this guy's been in my life since I was 20 something, which is crazy.
Yeah.
He's back with a new a debut solo album, I guess, Gargoyle of the Garden State. Of course, you know him from Skid Row. He is the great Rachel Bolan. Rachel, how are you, sir?
Hey, man, how you doing? I hope I can live up to that intro.
It should be easy, man. I mean, well, Rachel, let's dig right into Gargoyle of the Garden State. Before we totally dig into the record, I just want to go into, kind of seems like a real busy time for you outside of this to do a solo record. Now, I know you've probably been working on it for a while and this or that, but explain the timing to me just a little bit of why you wouldn't have maybe held this until the search was over, because there's so much other attention away from this for you. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, you know, this all came together over a year ago, and I had songs that I wrote a while ago, actually, and they weren't right for Skid Row. So anyway, I played them for Nick, my friend who produced the album, Nick Raskulinix, and he's like, "You should do a solo record. Let's do it here." And I'm like, "Well, let's see if the label's into it." So they were, and I was like, "Great." And so I had a bunch of songs, but I didn't feel strongly about some of them, so I just kept writing and writing and writing. And, you know, like you said, Skid Row's on downtime, and this time kind of found me, you know, because it's been 40 years since, you know, Skid Row. We started Skid Row. And this is my very first solo record. I've made records outside of Skid Row, but they were band situations. They weren't a solo record. So I had the time and I had the songs, and the label was into the idea, and we were like, cool, we're doing a solo record. How about that? How about that?
Right on. Are you comfortable stepping into the front of it? And the reason I ask that is, I mean, you've always kind of been the vocal, like, interview leader guy of Skid Row, but you always had somebody to kind of stand behind and just rock behind, you know, as far as on stage. Are you comfortable yourself putting yourself up front and, you know, being the face and the focus and the name of this project?
Yeah, I'm totally comfortable with it. I'm a ham. I like to ham it up. So I have no problem with it. I've been asked this a lot, and asked what the difference is going to be. And I mean, the difference is I'm not just singing backups. Now I'm singing lead vocals, you know, and I'm just going to be me, man. I'm not going to try to be anything I'm not. If and when we start doing shows, just I love being in this position. I'm sorry about that noise. It's the contractors, but yeah. So it is what it is, man. And you know, I'm way into it.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, Rachel, what is it about you bass players? And I'm going to name 3, but there's a ton more that fall into this category. There's you, there's Duff McKagan, there's Lemmy. Y'all have that punk attitude that you really don't push into your, I'll call it your day job music.
Day job, that's right. Yeah.
You know, I mean, but you guys all have it, and I don't think it's fake, and I don't think it's something that you're doing to not sound like Skid Row. I mean, I've known you for God knows how many years at this point,
right.
But you've always had that attitude. Other than the EP 8 million years ago, you really never showed it off too much. What is it about bass players and about you specifically that has such a love for the kind of punk musical attitude?
I don't know, two less strings maybe, or simpler people. You know, I just, I don't know, man. Ever since I was a kid, punk just, I love like so many different bands and so many different types of music, but punk just always seemed to draw me in. When I first heard the Ramones, I was just like, wow, okay, because I'm a diehard Kiss fan and a diehard AC/DC fan, and then I started thinking about what is it about all these bands that I love, and I think it's a simplicity and just the everything just is so catchy, and I loved new wave and pop and stuff like that, and I was never like um a prog guy or really complicated stuff. It was beyond my brain. I couldn't comprehend
Hmm.
it. I appreciate it, but it just wasn't my thing. And punk rock, just the energy and like lyrically, you think about a lot of punk bands like the Ramones, for instance. I didn't realize till I was an adult how many drug references there were in Ramones and Ramones songs. And but they said it in a way that was like some of their lyrics. I'm like my brain is hanging upside down. That started off called Bonzo Goes to Bitburg. That's some deep lyrics there, man. And about his feelings of seeing Ronald Reagan, on TV in Germany,
Sure.
and and then you have now I want to sniff some glue. You know what I mean? So it's like, and then you have the Sex Pistols, God Save the Queen. When I was a kid, it was God Save the Queen. I didn't know like the deep meaning in it and the
Sure.
anger of their situation. And and all those bands, the Damned and Dead Kennedys and the Dead Boys, there was like some deep stuff. The Clash,
Hmm.
there was some deep stuff in there, and but all the musically, it was something that told me I could do this. I could pick up a guitar and do this and pick up a bass and play like this. And on the flip side, I love Deep Purple. And Roger Glover is one of my biggest influences, along with Gene Simmons, who's such an overlooked bass player as a bass player. He has such a huge personality. People focus on that instead of
Sure.
what a great musician he really is. And Paul McCartney and stuff like that as bass players. But punk rock, man, I can't speak for Duff, even though Duff like had a lot of punk bands before
Hmm.
GNR. Um, it just drew me in, and it made me feel like, okay, I fit in. I fit in with all of this
Sure.
stuff that's going on.
So then what, and again, I'm getting veering a little, but I'll come back to the record. What led you then to do music that was completely not that? Because it sounds like you were really, as a kid, you were really into it. And then obviously Skid Row, I mean, the first two records especially, there's almost zero punk on those two. What led you to, was it just you wanted to make a profession and you saw that that could work better, or the time, or a little of this
Mm,
and a little of that, or what?
No, I think when Snake and I got together and wrote for the first time, it just felt right. Like the
Okay.
songs that we wrote that didn't even make the first record, it just felt right. Like the creative process, and to this day, I could still remember those choruses to those songs, and I was like, because he's a metal guy, and I
Mm-hmm.
was a punk and pop guy and new wave guy, and I think Skid Row like kind of culminated for like our sound and style kind of culminated from that. And then you bring in Scotty Hill, who was he loves Jeff Beck, that's his favorite guitar player, and then you just add that, and this is like the evil rock and roll stew that came out, you know what I mean, and
Sure.
that we were cooking up, and it just it was organic and it was a natural progression. It wasn't like I was abandoning my punk roots or anything, because when I wrote Piece of Me, I was like, I think the New York Dolls could do this song if they wanted to. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
who some people call them punk, some people call them glam. I think they're kind of both, but um Yeah, so that's just kind of what happened. That's it wasn't anything we thought too hard about.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough. Look at your screen right now. If you're tired of the hide and seek games with big tech, where links disappear and episodes get throttled, I've got the fix. I'm Chris Akin, and it's time for me to show you how to take back your access to the Classic Metal Show, the Seth Williams Show, and Chris Akin Presents. Pick up your phone, go to the App Store or Google Play, and download the Locals app. It is 100% free. Once you're in, just search for the CMS Network. You're going to see everything. Every interview, every unfiltered rant, every deep dive music discussion, every uncensored news article we put up, all in one centralized, uncensored hub. No more chasing links across 5 different socials. This is our home. But if you really want the keys to the kingdom, look for that VIP upgrade. For just $4.99 a month, you're cutting out the commercials, getting the advance drops before anyone else, and accessing bonus episodes that are way too heavy, dirty, or we just don't want to share with the free public. For the price of a cheap beer, you're supporting independent, unapologetic media. Download the Locals app today. Get some CMS wherever you are, and if you're a real one, join the VIP squad at classicmetalshow.locals.com. The Classic Metal Show and the CMS Network. It's uncensored, it's unapologetic. We will see you there. Well, let's think about Gargoyle of the Garden State, because we've done enough rambling about other stuff. Let's get into this.
All right.
Obviously, you opened your Rolodex and found a bunch of great people that I'm assuming you're friends with to appear on this. Tell me a little bit, not so much about, I mean, you can tell me who and this guy and that guy, but tell me so much more about what you heard that makes you call Danko Jones or Corey Taylor. I mean, I'm assuming you didn't just call these guys on a whim. I'm assuming you had a musical vision when you call these people to come in, yes?
Yeah, I didn't write songs with any of them in mind.
Okay.
With me, like the people that did vocals, it's when it was done, and I did the demos. I was like, with the first one was the song Big Stick with Corey, and I was like, man, Corey would tear this up because him and I like the same bands.
Okay.
And so and all these people are my friends, and
Sure.
this is like putting out a solo record. My first solo record 40 years into my career is a monumental moment for me, and to bring my friends in just ramps that up, tenfold. So I called Corey. I was like, hey man, I got this song, I'm doing a solo record, will you sing it? Yes. I go, you haven't heard the song yet? He goes, I will sing it. And so I sent it to him. He's like, this song rips. And I go, yeah, I'm thinking kind of Sham 69. He's like, that's what I was thinking. So I flew out to Vegas, and we had the studio booked for like 3 hours. And of course he crushed it in like under an hour because he's amazing. And then we talked about punk rock for another hour and a half until the engineer kind of, hey, we got another session coming in. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, so that's how it all happened. And then with the first single, At War With Myself, I was like, it would be really cool, Danko Jones, because I love his vocal style. I love the way he sings. He sings with such aggression and just like this deep-seated, just, I will rip your face off type of thing. And I'm like, man, he's kind of like an alter ego to, like, vocally we're alter egos, and that's what was going through my crazy brain. And so I called him, and he was on tour in Europe, and he's like, I could do it, I'm going to be home for like a week or 4 days, I forget what he said, I'll go to a studio. And so Nick set up a studio up there, and Danko went in and recorded. He sent it to us, and we put in the song, and Nick and I are listening to playback, we're like, hell yeah, this is great. And and that kind of happened with everyone. Now, Damon Johnson, he played on a bunch of demos, and he's a brother. Like we've been friends for a really long time. And so we did the album down in Nashville, and he lives in Nashville, so he came to the studio and he recreated the leads that he did on the demos, and then did a bunch more. And the same with Scotty and Snake. They did their stuff. Scotty was out in L.A. He did it and sent it, and Snake was in New York. He did it and sent it. And then Steve Conti, I was like, man, Nuno did the same thing with his solo.
Sure.
And then Steve heard the song. He's like, I love this song, man. He goes, can I take some liberties? I go, do Steve. I go, you
Right.
be Steve. That's why I'm asking you to do it. And I was lucky that all these guys said yes. I had
Sure.
a couple friends that wanted to do something, but then their tour started. So it was just like, they're like, dude, we're starting a tour. My head is everywhere, but in the studio. I was like, next album. I'm getting you the next album. I'm going to
Right.
chain you to the studio. Right. So yeah, that's how everyone that I asked, that was able to do it, that's how it happened. It was just like something, okay, they'd sound good on this song. And Nick was involved in that too.
Sure. I want to go back to Conti for a minute, who I love. He's like of
He's
the
the best.
guys that you have, he's my favorite.
He's great.
That being said, does that, especially with his resume and what you're trying to do here with Gargoyles, does that put even more pressure on you? Because he's literally been in the bands that you have cited as influences to do this. But
Yeah.
is there more pressure from that?
No, I don't think there's pressure. Steve and I have known each other, and we've written songs together, and we've championed each other, each other's projects and whatnot. And he's just, well, if you know Steve, you know how down to earth he is, and he's just New York as it gets. And I
Right.
love that, because there's no BS. And I love having that kind of friendship where you know exactly where each other stands on whatever topic you're talking about. And I knew the song that he sang on, I was like, he's going to pull out that soulful voice, that I don't have in me, but is going to make the song, really, really good. And he did just that, a few hours, and he sent it back. Do you want me along this line, or you want along this line? And I'm like, yeah, no, this is great. This is great. Keep going with this. And it turned out fantastic.
Sure. Is there anybody that you want to work? And maybe you just didn't, timing or whatever didn't work this time. Is there anybody for the next one that you're already kind of aiming at? Are you looking at, I don't know, Michael Monroe or something and saying, yeah, I'd love to have him sing a song or something like that?
My friends that couldn't do it because of touring, I'm going to ask them again, but I'm not going to tell you who it is.
Fair enough, man. Well, speaking of the touring, Rachel, you mentioned it at the beginning. You are definitely planning to get out there and play this music, which is great. What size tour are you looking for? And do you already have a band, or where are we at?
Yeah, well, I got guys that again, logistics. Rob Hammersmith, he committed to it. And he played drums on the whole record, so he committed to it. A couple friends were in, and then they're like, we're touring, so unless you're planning these spots, so it's logistics. And again, I want to keep it all buds and all guys that I trust and respect, and can make me look good.
Do you anticipate 3 months out on the road every night, or fly-ins, or what?
Honestly, Chris, I don't know what to think. It
Okay.
could be a show here, a show there. I would love to jump on a tour with someone, a band that I like, and that would be great. Just to jump on a tour somewhere as support, that would be awesome. Because when your album is only like 35 minutes long, it's kind of hard to headline.
Sure.
Okay, drum solo again.
Nice. They say you should never look back, but I've never been good at following orders. I'm Chris Akin, and while most of you know me for the radio and the interviews, I've got a past that would make social justice warriors' heads explode. My latest book, and Other Things I Should Not Say, isn't a self-help manual. It's an autopsy of the years 1986 to 1990. 4 years of sex, booze, and absolute chaos while I was serving in the military in Korea and California. I'm talking about stories that stay buried in the back of your memory because society tells you they're wrong and ugly. Well, I don't live in fear of my past. Every filthy, calloused, and ridiculous moment in this book actually happened, and I'm damn proud to share it. If you're easily offended, keep walking, pal. But if you want to see what happens when you pack a lifetime of dangerous living into just 4 years, head over to Amazon.com or just go to the link in the description and grab yourself a copy today. Both middle fingers are up and the truth is right here. Get some CMS, uncensored, and other things I should not say is the book, and it is sure to offend and sicken and make you laugh like you never have before. Well, Rachel, let's move forward briefly, and I'm not going to be like every other interview that you're doing and ask you 43 questions about the search. Okay. I have one question about the search, and it really isn't so much about the Skid Row vocalist search as much as about the way you view Skid Row today. And what I wanted to ask you is, did you or have you know your own history, you know the legacy of not, what is it, 8 singers or whatever it is, which is, obviously is not ideal. Instead of looking for a new permanent person, have you ever thought of, well, this album is going to be with this person and we'll see where it goes. And if it goes somewhere, great, then we'll do another one. And the only reason I ask you that is because I almost think it hurts you guys a little bit to constant, the turnover. And this, it's the fans talk, you see it, would it make more sense if you just did, well, this is who's going to do the next record, boom. And there's no commitment to it other than that guy better kick ass or else they won't be back for the next record. See what I mean?
And no, I know what you're saying. You're not the first person to say that, but I mean, we've had 6 singers. Black Sabbath still has his beat, but it is what it is, man. And no, me personally, to have a different singer each record, that would stress me out. That would stress me out. We just want to get someone that understands that how we work, how we tour, that they may not, the road isn't always great because it's not for any band. So, and we want someone with experience that is, knows that. But we're just being like, the people that we're interested in past the virtual audition stage, where we discuss with them, it's like, here's how we operate, and this is how long you'll be away from home, and here's all, we're completely transparent, and here's how we've been doing it for 40 years. And they got to decide, like, if you get the gig, you have to be ready for this. And, sometimes you got to leave the hotel room at 3:30 a.m. because we got to be at the airport by 5. And it's just the way it is. And that's how we operate. And, and the hang is so important. We've learned that over the years. It's just like, you could go out and do great shows, but sometimes you're just like, I can't be in a room with this guy anymore.
Right.
Sure. Know what I mean? And, I'm sure, they say that about me too, but it's just like, the hang is such a big part of it. And the great thing is we have the luxury of time right now. We're not in the middle of making a record. We don't have a tour booked, and, we're writing songs. We're piling up some songs and whatnot for, cause when we find someone, things are going to start happening fast. We'll hit the road again, and we'll probably go in the studio again. And so, we're taking our time because we have that luxury to do that. And we're just fine tooth comb, man.
Sure. Are you gun shy at all because of what happened with Cromwell?
It was unexpected. So, we're like there's a little PTSD going on
Right.
there, and we just that's why we want to make sure. That's why we're taking our time.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, I'm glad you're taking your time because it gave us this record, which honestly, if everything hadn't gone the way it did, we probably don't get this record, right?
But that's probably true. Yeah. That's safe
Right
to
on.
say without a doubt.
Well, people should definitely pick it up when it's available. Gargoyle of the Garden State, June 12th is the date of release. Rachel, we tell everybody if you listen on Spotify, all right, whatever, but buy something. Buy the vinyl, buy the MP3s, a shirt, a hat, anything. Where do we send them to buy something?
You could go through skidrow.com. You could go through my YouTube channel, the Ear Music YouTube channel, I believe, and the Skid Row Instagram, my Instagram. There'll be a link tree up on Ear Music's Instagram. So yeah, and before we did this interview, I was talking with Joel, and he had mentioned that we put out vinyl test pressings. Autograph vinyl test pressings, and they're going quick, like really quicker than expected, actually. So for those hardcore vinyl collectors, you might want to grab one of those. I grabbed one. I didn't sign it though.
How bad is that you have to go and buy it yourself?
Yeah, no, I know a guy.
Yeah, there you go. Well, one more time, everybody. It is Gargoyle of the Garden State. It is Rachel Bolan, or just Bolan as the official title. But Rachel, this is always fun, man. Thanks for joining me once again on Chris Akin Presents.
Thanks, Chris.
You've heard me grill your favorite rock stars for 30 years on the Classic Metal Show and Chris Akin Presents. Now it's time to put me to work for you. That's right. I am officially on Cameo, and I'm bringing that same unfiltered, high-octane energy to your personal messages. No fluff, no corporate scripts, just the raw truth. Whether you need to roast a buddy for his terrible taste in music, wish a fellow metalhead a brutal birthday, or get a personalized shout-out that actually has some grit, I have got you covered. Stop sending boring cards. Send a message they'll actually remember. Head on over to cameo.com and just do a search for my name, Chris Akin, A-K-I-N. Let's make something legendary. Get some CMS personally.